Hello, everyone. Today we're going to have a little chat with Rachel Grimsby, who is one of our FAME endorsed teacher trainers for First Steps and conversational solfege, and also one of the authors of the new book, First Steps in Music with Orff Schulwerk.
Sing, say, dance, and play.
Myself not being an Orff person, I did not know that, so that's interesting.
Right.
Thank you. I was at TMA when the book debuted, and I was one of the early adopters. I got it right away, and I was very excited and told lots of people about it.
We appreciate that.
And since then, many people have purchased the book, ordered the book, and a lot of people, that's been
amazing and overwhelming, and very just all of us authors are very thankful and just excited. It was fun to put together, and we want it to be a resource that is used and implemented and one of those that is going to fall apart by the time you're finished using it. One that you reach and go to, not necessarily one that's going to sit on your shelf and collect dust.
Yeah, those are the best kind of resources. And you brought up all of the authors. And so I was wondering if you could tell me kind of how this group of authors came together, who they are, first of all, since they all can't be here today.
So the group of people who came together to collaborate on this book are Betsy Green, Dr. Joni Brandon, Chris Tranberg, Craig Knapp, and myself. And all of us have our levels, either all three levels in masters or just the three levels. Chris himself is a certified level 1 teacher trainer for Orff Schulwerk. And Dr. Feierabend reached out and said, I think it would be great to hear, how you can incorporate the Orff philosophy with the Feierabend pedagogy, and he knows all of us from working with him and asked us if we would be able to work together. And we started off as friends, and we definitely ended as family. It was so much fun to work together because we each have different backgrounds that we come from. Chris was in the classroom setting and then went to become an administrator. And Craig works in a 3 through 5 building. Betsy works in a K through 5 building. Joni is a professor of music education, but also has her levels, has taught elementary. She has that rich background. And then, of course, I have taught pre-K through 8th grade, but my current teaching is pre-K through 5th grade.
Okay.
Sorry, pre-K through 6th grade.
How quickly you forget.
How quickly I forget those 6th graders who I love. Just, sometimes 6th grade's a little interesting.
Sure it is.
Yes.
Well, they're all interesting in different ways. Speaking of ages, what age group is this book geared toward?
Well, First Steps in Music the Feierabend philosophy starts with preschool and earlier infant and toddler, and this book is not going to fulfill the whole of First Steps. It's going to really be for, I would say, your more advanced pre-K to 2nd, 3rd grade.
Okay.
You can bring the tuneful, beatful, and artful into the upper grades. You can also use this resource. You can extend some of the activities for your older students if you're looking for, a tuneful, beatful, artful activity to use. Let me say that again: a tuneful, beatful, artful activity to use. But our idea was pre-K through 2nd grade, but you can extend it.
Okay. And do you have plans to do it for the conversational solfege level?
Yes, we have been talking about it. We haven't started on it yet, but the plan was several years ago when we first decided to sit down and write this book. This book was almost 3 years in the making. So 3 years ago, we decided we would do a conversational solfege and Orff Schulwerk as well. So that is where we are headed.
Okay, so that will be coming, but it'll take a while.
It'll take a while. We want it to take a brief
of
celebratory
course.
After working
Lots
on
of
this. And it's amazing the amount of effort that goes into writing a book. I did not realize how much writing, how much editing. The best part was the collaboration.
Sure.
We met sometimes every month, sometimes every other month, and we would, email consistently, sometimes text. We'd get an idea, middle of the night, we'd, send out an email. And it was never, everything always spawned great conversations. Great. Because our backgrounds are so different. And I think that's one of the beauties of this book is it's not a resource that's written from one perspective.
Right.
It focuses on the 8-part workout of first steps, and we all have activities that we've tried. So this book isn't, oh, I wonder how this would go, so I'm just going to write this activity. Every activity that's in the book is something that we have tried and we do use in our classrooms. So these, vetted. Yes, they're vetted. All of these activities are tried and true with students that we use in our classroom.
And from different people's classrooms.
That's so great. They're tried and true with a variety of populations.
Okay. And I think that also leads to the next question, which might be the biggest question I've heard, which is this kind of a textbook or is it an activity book? For people who can't see the book yet, what is it? How does it function for a teacher as a book? Is it a textbook that teaches you about Orff and then teaches you about Feierabend? Or is it a book that says, here's an activity, here's an activity?
I think it's a blend of both.
Okay.
It is not textbook heavy. I think it would be more resource rich.
Okay.
But it goes through each part of the workout. So we go into what Arioso is. We go into what movement for form and expression, although I'm skipping around. We describe the simple songs, and we describe how the two can work together, how the Orff pedagogy can come in with the Feierabend pedagogy, and then we list several activities in every chapter of this is how you can bring it in. And the difference is that we do stress that this is a way to extend the workout. So our focus is, doing the process, focusing on developing tuneful, beatful, and artful children, right. And how you can take one of those parts of the workouts and expand it through the Schulwerk.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of the Schulwerk, is the Schulwerk is not sequential. There is a process to the Schulwerk, but it's not something that's set in stone. Okay. The beauty of the Schulwerk is that what one activity may look like in my room is going to look different in your room because it's the children who are guiding it. Uh-huh. So the children get to make the decisions. The teacher is more the guide on the side instead of being the sage on the stage, and the students have the idea, and it's very organic. It's the creative element, and that's what Orff is about, is getting back to being elemental, using your singing, using your speaking, using your body to create that art form in response to the music, it's fabulous. It's really interesting to see how children process what they hear differently and then where they go from that moment, and they'll come in and they'll just create these beautiful movement ideas, or they'll act out a song tale and bring it to life more than you expected.
Right.
It's not just standing here, I'm the cow. They'll get on all fours and they'll start crawling around, and the farmer will come in and it's a way for them to learn how to step outside of the box that they're in when they're in their classroom. And creativity is something that's really hard for students these days, and the Schulwerk allows them to kind of break out of themselves.
Yeah, and that sounds particularly appealing if you are in a district or school that's emphasizing something that's very big now, which is student-driven,
yes,
student-led instruction. In my own district, it's Who Owns the Learning, which is a way of placing almost the onus on the students to move forward. And I think move forward through instruction. I think what's difficult for music teachers a lot of times is we don't know how to do that. We're so used to being the ones who say, here's what we're going to do, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do this. It sounds like this is a process by which the students have more ownership.
Oh, absolutely. But that's actually the beauty of First Steps in Music, is that although it looks like to the, I don't want to say the unknowledgeable, but
someone
who is not familiar with Feierabend's curriculum. First Steps in Music may look like a teacher-directed curriculum, but all we're doing is we're guiding the learning, we're planting the seeds. So although we might be up front and we're leading the singing, it eventually becomes the students.
Sure.
So for simple songs, for example, Frog in the Meadow, we're asked to do it 4 times within a lesson instead of just going, frog in the meadow, can't get him out. Take a little stick and stir him about. I ask the students, okay, what could we do while we're singing the song?
So they're engaged.
They're making the choices. I might be presenting the songs, but how we're varying them. Should we sing it loudly? Should we sing it softly? How could we move to this? Those choices are coming from them. So the First Steps really does lend itself to the Schulwerk.
Yeah. And I think in First Steps, the overarching goal is musical independence.
Yes, it absolutely is.
So we necessarily have to lead it in the beginning in that we're giving them the songs.
Yes, we're giving them the songs, but what they're doing with them, and especially with Arioso. So we're building that, we're leading them through the singing, but when they get to the Arioso, it's fully independent. It's their creation.
Improvisation.
Right. Okay. But without those steps, us guiding them, we can't then let go. So we're guiding them and then we're letting go, which, if I'm speaking clearly,
I think so.
I think that it's definitely, and then when you get to the movement, the creative movement, we're giving them ideas and we're modeling a little bit, but they're taking those ideas and then making it their own. So it really is, I think, the crutch with the student-directed learning is that the teacher has to walk alongside them and then sometimes let the student get ahead, and then the teacher can come back and walk alongside them, but not in front of them.
Sure. And the process kind of is give and take. It kind of happens. And maybe, you certainly have spoken to this, but if you had to kind of explain to somebody, either somebody who was more Feierabend centered or more Orff centered, how do these two approaches complement each other? What would you say?
They go together like peanut butter and jelly.
I like peanut butter and jelly. I'm not going to lie.
Or mac and cheese, depending, whatever your preference is. Because Feierabend offers that structure. The Orff Schulwerk does not have a specific, you do this and then you do this and you do this. It's very organic and it's very where the children leading it. So Feierabend offers the structure of we're going to do this step and then we're going to move to this step and we're going to move to this step of your lesson. Whereas within that step, then the Schulwerk comes in and we can take this idea and then expand it.
It just offers you a lot of different options.
Yes.
But within that step.
Student creative choice.
Cool. And so the book essentially is, if I'm understanding what you've said, you're going through the 8-part Feierabend workout for First Steps. You're kind of elucidating, this is what happens in this step, and then you're offering, and you're also talking about Orff, and then you're offering activities that are kind of bridging both of these things for each of the 8 parts.
For each
it's not just one activity for each thing.
No, there's several. I can't give a specific number.
That's fantastic. I should get this book.
I think you should get this book if you
haven't already. I better go out and get this book.
So for each chapter, for example, fragment singing, we talk about what fragment singing is, what its purpose is in the 8-part process, and then we talk about the Orff extensions, and those are the activities. Yeah. And so the people who are reading this book, whether they are trained in First Steps or whether they are trained in Orff, they'll be able to implement these activities in their classroom without having to be an expert in First Steps or an expert in Orff. It's very much well written and thought out to any user, whether you're First Step certified or Orff certified or neither, and you're just looking for a good resource. Yeah. It's going to be, it's going to have immediate acquisition. Like you're going to be able to pick it up and implement it.
So I think what I'm taking from this is a great resource for anyone, whether they've had training in either of these approaches or not. There are activities which are immediately accessible for them to use in their classes. And also, I'm guessing, based on use of excellent repertoire, best practices. So I really do think this is something that anybody can use in the elementary classroom.
And the good thing is that we have the pieces in the book. So when they're purchasing the book, we don't just reference the music. The notation is in the book.
That's fantastic.
So they don't have to go out and buy yet another resource. Everything is there.
Well, I can't think of why somebody wouldn't want to get this book.
Well, we're excited about it. We feel like it turned out well. Again, I'm humbled to work with the people that I worked with and eager to work on the conversational solfege book, only because I get to work with 4 fabulous people.
Well, I mean, no pressure, but I'm eager for you to do it also. So maybe get to work on that right away.
You'll have to speak to Betsy on that
one. Anyway, thank you so much for being willing to do this. And hopefully it will help people to get excited about the book, or if they weren't sure what it was about, or if somebody from Orff or somebody from Feierabend can listen to the things you're saying and kind of frame what's going on with the book and go out and get it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming, Rachel.
Thanks for having me, Missy.